always loved Christmas, so one year he decided what the family really needed to make things perfect was a Christmas tree. And late one night, this prompted him to climb up to the top of a tall fir tree, saw in hand, with a cunning plan to cut the top off it. The wind was blowing and the tree was swaying, but he persevered until he suddenly became aware of a policeman standing at the bottom of the tree, almost as if he knew something was up. Alan perched, holding his breath in the tree for what seemed like an eternity. But luckily the policeman never looked up and Alan was able to complete his mission impossible. Later in life, Alan still loved to decorate the family house at Christmas. And he'd make sure that it would never be without holly or mistletoe. He always found it somewhere. Alan's life of crime took a new course when he attended the fairly new Hugh Clopton Boys' School in Stratford-on-Avon, where he became a prefect and eventually deputy head boy. Amongst his responsibilities was to ensure that the boys didn't wander over into the girls' area of the school. He often had an eye for the ladies, so you can imagine he took his responsibilities very seriously. His youth also saw him playing football for his school team, and later both Ettington and Stratford Town Football Club. As a lifelong Aston Villa supporter, he only ever watched them live on a couple of occasions. He was very proud to say that he actually played against the reserve team. Meanwhile, a young girl called Kathleen Aston would follow his goal-scoring exploits in the regular match reports of the Stratford Herald. Alan was a good-looking young man with a cheeky glint in his eye and a lovely smile. Smartly dressed, hair slicked back and smart, but with a rakish lock that would sometimes hang casually and just a little bit rebelliously over his forehead. It wasn't long before Kathleen caught his eye. After finishing school at 15, Alan took an apprenticeship as a plumber at Harrison's in Stratford-on-Avon, a career that he followed all his life. As an apprentice, Alan used to commute 7 miles each way, rain or shine, on his bicycle from Ettington to Stratford-on-Avon, with his toolkit balanced across his handlebars. He was always thankful that it was downhill nearly all the way. He was often late, or only just in time according to the clock on the fountain, which he passed each day. Sometimes Alan reflected on how quickly he could cycle when he really needed to, which was quite often, as he was never very good at timekeeping. He must have been a very fit lad, because he travelled all the way to Coventry to purchase his bike and then cycled home on it afterwards. He was eventually talked into getting a motorbike by his eldest brother John. And this was a game changer in terms of how far he could travel, and of course the temptation was to buy a bigger and more powerful motorbike. Eventually he was the proud owner of a BSA Gold Flash bike, a heavy and very powerful bike back in the day, and being a relatively small man, it was not an easy bike to handle. It was whilst Alan had this bike that he met his future wife Kathleen at a dance in Ilmington Village Hall. Life as a courting couple travelling around on his motorbike was fun and eventful. For instance, on one occasion he approached a level crossing too fast with Kathleen riding pillion. The motorbike launched into the air with Alan being relocated onto the fuel tank and Kathleen on his saddle. They continued on their journey, otherwise unhurt. Another time they were racing down a road when some cows were being herded out of a gate by a farmer. The first cow must have had the shock of its life as the accelerating motorbike swept past its nose just in time to avoid a major incident.